The following is a Productions original series.
Hello and welcome to Walk and Roll Live. I'm Doug Vincent, joined by Addie Rich. Our podcast is dedicated to amplifying the voices of the disability community. I'm a polio survivor.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, I are.
You are, and I have cerebral palsy. I've had it since birth, so I don't know, no different.
Very nice. So it's been a week since we talked to you last, everybody.
It's been a week.
So what happened in your world, Addie?
Well, I took a shower and put makeup on and went out to lunch. For real. I mean, obviously, people, I do shower on the regular, but to actually pull out the makeup and make yourself look like a little more presentable or sparkly, I decided we went out to lunch and I was like, I'm going to do it. And
nice.
Then I was like, oh, I smell so good. I forgot how good this perfume smells. Falling in love with yourself.
And for those who may not know, Addie works from home. She's been
I do.
what they used to call telecommuting. Do they say that anymore?
I don't know.
Work from home. Yeah.
Since 2009 in various scenarios, but it also means that you only have to put on your top half of your clothes to go to your Zoom meetings. So you get really comfortable with the stretchy pants and things. So I decided to abandon those.
Got to be careful when you stand up, what you got going on down there.
Hey man, didn't Superman's son learn that the hard way when he was doing a news anchor and he wore gym shorts and they panned down too far?
I think I've heard a few stories about that. Ugh.
For sure. So anyway, I humanized. We all know that Doug and I are opposites. Doug will be out of his house the entire weekend and I will be like, cool, I'm in the recliner with my dog.
Yeah. Another one of those weekends and weeks.
I know. So how was your week?
It was good. It was good. There was 3 different events I could have gone to on Saturday. I went to the Push to the Pier that Triumph Foundation does once a month. I'm sure I mentioned it last month when I went. I found out, I thought it was an annual event and found out it was monthly. And I'm like, because I live more inland. So it's nice to get away and get to the beach and be right on the beach.
Cooler,
So good. But Angel City Sports had their big weekend event that they do every year. And I was going to try to get it over there, but I didn't make it. We went to lunch. So then there was another birthday party or something that I didn't make it to too. So
sorry, people. Doug's a flake. Just kidding.
Yeah. But the Push to the Pier was great. Our executive director from Rolling Start, she lives an hour or so another direction from there, but she came out and we had a nice chat while we're strolling down the beach, so that was nice.
Strolling and rolling, people.
And then I went to the car club, one of the car clubs that kind of follow the Over the Hill gang. They had their yearly installation, new officers and all that. And, and it is a hoot. The awards that they just make up awards to give out to people, at their great expense, One guy,
no, I love those.
One guy put 30 gallons of gas into his 15-gallon tank. So he got an award for that. I can see the wheels turning. It's like, how does he do that? Well, it was leaking down and going down the street is how lucky it didn't blow the whole block up. And, another guy, they were doing a 50-50 drawing and they called the number and called the number and called the number and nobody was answering. So come to find out, he had put his tickets in his empty beer bottle. And he's like, I think I got it. And he dug them out of the bottle and sure enough, he had won the 50-50. So he got an award for that.
Of course that guy would do that. That's something I would do. Literally, I do that all the time. I just had something I was looking for, set it down for a second to do something else, and now I don't know where it is. I literally, that's how I know I'm old.
Yeah. Well, this didn't happen on Sunday, but the joke is, whenever you're selling raffle tickets, you tell people, put both halves in and you can double your chances.
Yeah.
Well, everybody has their story about some poor unfortunate soul coming up to us and said, I put both my halves in. What do I do now? You buy more is all I can tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
we're never going to be able to find them. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, good times. What else did I do? That was it. That was pretty much it for the weekend. Board meeting at Rolling Start, and all those kinds of things. Oh, we had a nice wheelchair support group.
Cool.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. But if you're somebody that likes everything organized and well run, you might have hated it. It was just,
Fail. Yeah.
Oh man, it was nutty because there's people on a Zoom call, there's people that are there in person, and everybody's kind of having their own conversations. It was just chaotic.
Yeah.
It was an S show, but I entertained it. I was entertained. I was sitting back like, this is like being a studio audience at a sitcom.
Right. You can't have too many expectations or you just get super disappointed.
Yeah. I knew there was some meeting that I used to go to and it just was, they didn't really run a tight meeting. And there was somebody who's like, I just can't go. I just can't stand it any longer. It's all over the place. That's what I'm here for. You kidding? It's just too much fun.
I don't need a TV.
It's real life. It's theater. All righty.
Right. Without a paid ticket.
Exactly. Yeah, just the price of a meal. So we've got a couple of guests today, Tiana Muse and Marissa Hernandez. They are here to tell us all about the Family Resource Network, all about their mission, how they support families and all that when we get back after we hear a little bit about Agyar Professional Training.
At Agyar Professional Training, we know that your greatest asset is your team. Investing in their development, knowledge, and happiness is essential for your business's success and growth. To achieve new heights, it's important to hire intelligent, talented individuals and empower them to excel in their areas of strength and passion. Agyar is committed to transforming your employees into happier, more productive, and fulfilled individuals. When your team thrives, your business prospers. Wise leaders understand that providing team members with opportunities to shine in their strengths unlocks untapped potential. Elevate your team with Agyar Professional Training and witness the growth of your business.
You're listening to Walk and Roll Live Disability Stories.
Na, 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 na. Step into the stories, hear the truth unfold. Voices rising boldly, breaking every mold. Life without limits, we shatter the walls. Together we're stronger, standing tall. These are the tales of hearts unchained, of battles fought, of joys reclaimed. Through open talks and journeys shared, we show the world how much we care. Life limitless, no boundaries here. Every voice is strong.
And we are back with Walk and Roll Live and our guests for today. And I'm going to start off by letting them introduce themselves briefly before we get into a more deep conversation. I'll let you go first, Hannah.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for having us on. My name is Tiana Muse. I'm a parent representative from Family Resource Network. I am also a mother of a son who has a disability. He has an intellectual disability as well as Down syndrome. He is 6 years old, going on 30, and he is a joy, and it's never, ever a dull moment with him.
Awesome. Marissa?
And hello, my name is Marissa Hernandez. I am also a parent representative for the Family Resource Network. I have 4 kids. My oldest, which has traumatic brain injury, his name is Sprout. He will be 31 this Sunday. I also have a 22-year-old with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And I'm currently a newly adopted mom of he's 2.5, and he has fetal alcohol spectrum. So a little bit of different disabilities, a little bit of everything that, so, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
To have you. So we're very happy to have you. And it's an awesome spectrum of experience sitting in the space, right? We'll be able to speak to so many things, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I volunteer at Anthesis, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, given the work you do. So that's kind of where we want to start, is just a background and how it got started, and then we'll get into exactly, what you do for the community.
So for the Family Resource Network, I've been here 22 years.
Wow.
So my son was 3 years old when I started. It was really small. We mainly focus on early start, 0 to 3, and more of a parent perspective. We help the parents with resources, information, and support. So more like doing support groups, helping them fill out paperwork, starting their journey in early start, has getting newly diagnosed. And so we were the support system for the families, and we were like this, I want to say over 25 years just with early start 0 to 3. So it's a really small company. We serve San Bernardino and Riverside County, but we mainly got referrals from the early start nurse. Back then, there used to be nurses. Now they're infant service coordinators, because it's between the ages of 0 to 3. So it was just a small department that we would just get the referrals from the case workers. I believe as of 3 years ago, almost 4, we ended up getting 2 other grants, which is it's called the Family Empowerment Center, which helps families school age 3 to 21.
Yeah.
So we have that department. And then we also have the Community Navigator Program, the CNP, which we serve families that are 0 to 100. There's no age limit. We have family specialists that help families that are having issues with, they want to know more about services in regards to the regional center, what they offer. IHSS. Right now, we have a lot of families that we're helping with conservatorship as their children are aging out and turning 18. SSI, Medi-Cal, just even if they want to do different sports, different things in the community with special needs, we go ahead and try to help them as, and then either we get referrals from the caseworkers from Regional Center. The family just hear about us because they saw us at a health fair. We try to do a lot of community outings and just be part of the community and doing a lot of events, a lot of health fairs, and just saying, we have this program that we're offering help to the families. I'm looking for services and resources and also support.
Yeah.
So we use our expertise. All of the workers, all of the family specialists, the parent representatives, all of them have children with special needs. Some of our workers are siblings. They had a sibling with special needs. So we've been around special needs, for a long time. Yeah. So that I'm kind of like a veteran, as Tiana said. Tiana has a little one. She's 30. So I'm the one that has a lot of expertise on especially SSI, IHSS, with Regional Center, RESPER, Social Rec. Right now, we're learning a lot about self-determination to see if it fits a family or not. So we were just at a home visit yesterday, helping a mom fill out SSI application online, which takes about 3 to 4 hours.
I was going to say that right there is, I'm sure that the parents love that help. Yeah.
They do.
She was so grateful. She was so grateful and said thank you, because I was trying to do it with her on the phone, and she got stuck, and it's like, you know what, let me just do a home visit to help you. Yeah. And we redid everything all over. But, helping that helps a lot. A lot of them have heard from other parents about IHSS but don't understand. So I kind of evaluate the child, the whole family system, and say, so this is what you need to have to be able to apply, like protective supervision, which is a big thing. Well, my friend has it, so I want it. Why can't I get it? Or why was I denied? So then I kind of sit down with the family and say, okay, do you have a one-on-one at school, or your child has an ABA? what does the IEP say? Let's read the IEP. Because if the IEP, the child is perfect and doesn't have anything, it doesn't match to what is in the home.
I'm sure that's where your experience comes in, so well, is that with a parent doing it, they may not know what they're looking for at regional center. And you may be able to create that, that application that helps them see that, yes, there is a need here. So that's helpful. Yes. And can I ask you, as a veteran too, how many or how much of things changed over the years when you first got in? What kind of services were you providing, or what were there available? When you went out looking to help people get together with services, what was out there?
Yeah, and really, when my son was 3 and he became part of the regional center and continue, there really wasn't nothing there. We got respite. I think was the only service that we got. Did I froze? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see?
So far, just the picture.
Okay. Wow. Like I'm asleep. But so a lot of the stuff, that was the only thing that they had to offer. Just has respite. My son was actually a co-pilot for the Medi-Cal waiver, the DDS waiver. They didn't, because I didn't. My income was too high for my son to qualify for SSI. Suffered traumatic brain injury. We were in a car accident when he was 4 months old. My husband was in the Marines and he passed away. So then, being him a veteran, I qualified for veterans benefits, and so my income back then was high. So we really didn't qualify for SSI. We didn't qualify for Medi-Cal. He had really good insurance through the military. And send to Zoom. Don't send. Okay, sorry. Something popped out on my Zoom here.
No, you're good.
So they so then with regional center, I'm blessed that I have really good caseworkers. Some of them I had to train myself, but you know what? I'll send you I'll send you all the resources, and they will call me and say, "Hey, I have this family. Can you help me? How to help them?" And So with my caseworker was like, you know what? We're starting this waiver, this DCS waiver, that they don't go through the parent's income, they go through the child's income. So it was a process of a lot of heartache and just like a lot of work with it, because a lot of the caseworkers from Medi-Cal didn't understand the DDS waiver. So of course you talk to a caseworker in America and say, "Oh no, you're in the wrong. That's not we don't do that." And it's like, yes, we do. They send you the packet. You cannot count my income, and they're like, "Well, you have income. You cannot count my income. You have to count my son's income." And so it was a little struggle of how to learn and try to. So then Medi-Cal built a department just for the DDS waiver and the waiver. This must have been in like 97, 98. When they were barely starting to see, because he didn't qualify for Medi-Cal. Of course, if you don't qualify for Medi-Cal, you don't qualify for IHSS, because IHSS is a Medi-Cal program. So as I was getting introduced to IHSS, that IHSS was starting to not only for senior citizens or for the older community, they were also now starting to serve. You qualify for IHSS if you had a child that was disabled medically. My son had a G2, he had a seizure disorder, left side hemi, so really medically fragile. He had all those medical. As I said, I've been here 22 years. I always work part-time. For the Family Resource Network, it's perfect for a parent that has a child with a disability because it's really flexible. On our hours. They understand that if my son gets sick and he's in the hospital, he's not only going to go to emergency for 1 day. We're going to be in the hospital for a week. So the flexibility for our job as a parent representative was there. So I've always worked part-time. I got my degree in sociology, my bachelor's, but I have never used it fully because no one was able to take care of my son.
Yeah.
the way I do. So
it sounds like you deliver full time, even working part time.
Yeah,
I know,
work
yes.
full-time and deliver full-time, and yes.
Well, everything
Yeah.
you just talked about, and then you add on, we went to a conference with IEDC over at the IEHP offices, and a couple of ladies got up and talked about ADA and how it's applied, and 504 and how it's applied. And then another gal got up and was talking about CalVet and all the different services. And it's just, I don't know how a parent even keeps up with it all.
Well, that's what I was
Yes.
going to say. Like, you need a center like that because, I mean, when you have a child that's disabled, normally, well, not normally, but I'm saying before you even have that child, you don't get a manual that says, hey, a disabled child's on
Right.
the way.
Yeah.
You don't. You
Right.
want one of those when a normal
Typical.
kid is on the
Right.
way, right? Because everybody always says there's no manual to being a parent. Well, then when you get an even more complicated, complex child, then what, right? Because then you suddenly need all this extra income. Doug and I talk about this all the time. Like, medical equipment and durable medical equipment is not cheap.
No.
And
No.
having just where do you go? Just where do you go? Because you didn't get a manual for a kid. Step 1 and step 2, we come with all these extra special instructions, and then what, right?
Right.
Learn it on the
But
fly.
I think we lost.
Yes,
her.
I'm sure she'll come back. I'll keep an eye out
come
for her.
back then.
And Tiana, if you could maybe address your model. You have a parent-to-parent model that you
Yes.
use there, right?
Yes, we do. Actually, that's how I came aboard Family Resource Network. When my son was born in 2018, October of 2018, my social worker at the hospital that I had him referred me to FRN because I was like caught off guard. I did find out at 5 months that I was going to have a son with Down syndrome, but he also had medical complications, a heart defect, kidney defect. So when he was going to be born, they didn't know if he was going to have to go into surgery immediately when he was born.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it was very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So my social worker told me about FRN, and they came to visit me. They offered the parent-to-parent support. They came to visit me, and my coworker, who still is there today, I call her my angel, Miss Blanca. She
Nice.
came and she brought her daughter who had Down syndrome as well. Well,
Amazing.
the amazing thing is that she was, I think, 18 or almost 18 at the time. So I was able to, Miss Blanca shared their journey, walked me through their journey with pictures, and she also had her daughter there. So I was able to see her daughter, meet and interact with her daughter, and it was just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
as time progressed, I stayed in touch with FRN, and I would do different, not presentations, but offers, support and share with them share with people in the community how important they were and how they were to me. And with that being said, when hiring came along, I think it was 4 or 5 years later, Miss Blanca contacted me and I put in, and here I am as a parent representative. But having that parent-to-parent support, like I said, it's a breath of fresh air because it's like, oh my goodness, I'm not the only one going through this.
Yeah.
I can see firsthand what it looks like. It's going to be okay. So just guiding me and walking me through, it really was very helpful.
It gives you hope,
So
right?
that's what, it gives me a lot of hope. And we also offer that to parents as well. And when we share with parents, hey, we're here to support you. But not only are we here, we have children with disabilities. They're like, oh my gosh, so you understand. We're like,
Yeah.
we get it. We get it.
Even though it's even though it's a network and a thing, it's a friend. It's a friend that's like, yes, you can call me and say, oh my God, they did this. Like my mom, I love my mom to death, but she, like, if she finds out somebody has a child with CP that's nervous about whether or not their kid's going to be okay later, she's like, I need you to call this parent and tell them you're okay. Like, it's cute because my mom will sort of farm me out to be like, oh yeah, can you just call them and tell them, like, you live across the country, you're married, you have a, you know what I mean?
Right.
So people see like, oh, CP is not like this crazy thing and they don't have to live with me forever. And you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I get to,
Yes.
at first I was like, if you don't stop doing that, but now,
That
now
is
I
too
enjoy it
true.
because I'm like, I appreciate that I can help other people like reduce the nerves.
Yes, definitely.
Can you talk a little bit about the parent training that you guys offer?
Yes. We offer a few parent trainings. One is IEP trainings. We do that via Zoom.
Why don't you
And then
Deanna, explain a little bit about, for those that don't know what an IEP is, and that could be a challenge in and of itself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
IEP is a individual education plan. So usually when kids start within the school district, they have to get an IEP, which is customized which is done to help them through their educational process, giving them supports and giving them things that they need to be successful in the educational system. So we show parents what IEPs are, what they look like, things to ask for, assessments to ask for, and we just kind of walk them through the process. And when we do it via Zoom. And after we walk through the basics of an IEP training, we do question and answers where they can ask questions. And then also if they need a follow-up with supports, we also offer that. We're not lawyers or advocates, but we do guide and teach parents how to advocate for their children.
And you probably have relationships with all these organizations that you're, like IRC and all the other organizations.
TASC is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
we
yes.
recommend families because TASC does the training for parents for like assessments.
Okay.
How parents could understand assessment, which is a big thing. We mainly do the basic overview to make feel comfortable when they're going through their IEP and understand it. And then we also give them resources to continue. Because even though like I do the IEP overview, I learn something new, law changes, there's different things. Yeah. So it's always good for parents just to know what to expect, that they know their child's best. And, they're to always remember that the IEP is there to provide support for their child, not for everyone else.
Yeah.
That worries.
And either one of you can take this, but I'm wondering if part of what you guys do is manage parents' expectations. I mean, this is your loved one. You want everything in the world for them, but sometimes that doesn't meet up with the criteria that, whoever comes up with the criteria through the state and all of that. And when they do an assessment, sometimes your view might be skewed by that love, let's say. There's things you want to advocate for and really fight for, but there are times when. So how do you address that?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a tough one, huh?
Yeah, that is. Sometimes I let parents know, like you said, we know our children the best. But sometimes if, for example, it was a situation where my child, it was a certain type of support that he needed in the classroom setting, and they weren't able to offer it. But then I said, okay, well, let's come up with different alternatives. Maybe we can come up with different alternatives that will kind of help him in the area since you guys can't provide. So, for example, with speech, he gets additional support with speech because they were only providing one time a week. But they weren't able to offer the tutoring, but they were like, you know what? Well, let's offer an additional day of speech. So sometimes if the educational system can't meet where you want them to meet, try to see if you can come up with alternatives that you can agree. Because when you sit down at the table, the school system, the education system, you're a team together. You're working with them. You're not working against them. So you're always trying to figure out what's the best for your child. But if you can't meet, if the needs can't be met and all other alternatives can't, then it's like, oh my gosh, where do we go from there? And Marissa, you probably can help in that area because she's more experienced. And I'm just now starting out, with the educational system.
So do you counsel parents to be more flexible or maybe even, see if you can come up with some solutions that you can offer and, to try to meet them halfway kind of.
Yes.
Not just come with, you can't do this. What can we do for my child? But maybe have some suggestions of your own.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Coming up with suggestions, if that's the case, because every situation is different.
Well,
So,
and I was a middle school teacher after
oh, okay.
after college.
Oh,
So
okay.
I understand that because I'm in both seats. I was a child who needed adaptions and I worked for a school system. So you understand like both edges that as an educator within a budget, within a district with certain thought processes, like even if I'm the rogue kid, I did teach for America. So we kind of think outside the box and stuff. But oftentimes we hit the wall of the district of like, no, you're not allowed to do that, or you can't do it that way or whatever. So it's kind of, I get both seats because I understand like limited budget, but that's where, those teachers like myself who go above and beyond and stay do homework afterwards because there's no homework club. So why do I need to go home? I don't have pets or kids, so I would stay and do it. But hopefully people will be lucky to meet people along the way that are like that. But it does help when there's parents who are like, I understand you're handcuffed by the system. It isn't you making a judgment on me. It's the system.
Or your child.
Without
Yes.
Right.
Yes, definitely.
But interesting to be the kid with the IEP and the teacher who works in the system to understand how that kind of goes. You grow up and you won't go, whoa, this is what the other side of this looks like.
Yes, definitely. Another training that we do is sensory integration training for parents. And it just teaches the difficulties of sensory and just ways as parents how we can be more in tune to what our children are thinking, feeling, and going through. And then also, different ways and, different things that we can do to help them along the way. When I first took the sensory training, I was blown away because I'm like, that's why my son does that. That's why my son does this. My son really has sensory issues going on. So just having this, and I mean, we touch on feeding, tantrums. I mean, you name it, anything that has to do with sensory, we touch on. And parents are really blown away after they learn,
That's fascinating. I think everybody would like that, just as like people that don't have to deal with different children. Just a period sensory class would be good for all of us. Like, why does the mall annoy me? Why is that TV too loud? Why is that voice irritating? Like so many things that the human mind is doing in our background, right? That we don't even notice because we're just doing the other active things.
Right.
So you teach the parent how to identify those needs and then strategies how to help with them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's part 2, isn't it, Tiana? Because we have a part 1.
Yes,
so whoever takes the part 1 training, then they're invited to a part 2. Mm-hmm. We don't open the part 2 to everyone because you have to take part 1, and then part 2 teaches you other stuff. And it's a really, really, and that's offered to anyone. We also do the tots and toys, which is like assistive technology, but that's mainly for early start. So they bring in the babies, and then our occupational therapist from regional center. We have assistive technology room with all kinds of toys that are with different gadgets and different adaptables that connect to the toys and everything. And then our main goal when we get a little a child is how can he communicate? How his cognition, does he know, to turn on and off, and where he's at what level. So then we give ideas to a lot of the parents on how to start using the communication devices for them and what's appropriate and what's not. So it's, 90% of parents that we get, they want an iPad, but then they come out with other things because they realize that iPad is not really going to help a child. There's other devices, there's other ways to help with communication needs for a child. But that's another training that we also have for the parents, that it's mainly 0 to 3 that the caseworkers send in referrals for it.
Do you concentrate on early intervention, or I know you said all ages you'll accept, but do you concentrate on helping people right at the beginning of their journey?
Me and Tiana are parent representatives for the early start, which is 0 to 3. And then we have other parent specialists that do the 6 to 21 for the school age, and then the community navigators. Right now, I do all three of them.
I was
So
like, don't you do all of it? Weren't you just
Yeah,
messed
yeah,
us
and
out yesterday?
You're picking up on
Tiana
that.
helps with most of them. Yeah, I've been doing all three of them, and then I also have a really good contact with relationship with the social NICU social workers from Loma Linda. So
Mm-hmm.
um, um, we have like little baskets that we do that help the families that stay in the hospital. A little cooler that they can put their food in there. There's little things that help the times I've been in the hospital with my
Yeah.
son that I wish I had. And so we kind of adapted that we were able to do NICU baskets for the families that are there. But I also, a lot of the social workers that contact me and say, I have this family and, child is really involved. Most likely he will be referred to regional center, but can we start them with SSI? Because they could apply for SSI and everything. They'll get $50 a month while the child's the baby's in the hospital. But then after they get discharged, then they get the full amount. But at least it's already in place.
Yeah.
It takes 3 to 4 months. It's already started. We help with CCS, California Children's Services application. Start that because if the child's gonna need equipment and all that. And sometimes the social workers, they're so busy and overwhelmed that they kind of need that. Marissa, can you come? I get a lot of the calls from social workers that in ICUs, the child's failure to thrive.
I kind of wanted to go back to, the assessment, and I'm sure, everybody has the hope that their child might be able to go to school. Is that part of that assessment? And is there a criteria and a threshold? And how is it, if they go to school, does the school system handle it? And I know there's a lot I'm throwing at you there, but I'm just kind of curious.
So when in regards to the IEP, the process of IEP, when children, they do get assessments. They're assessed by the school psychologist, and what they do is different assessments to see what the areas of concern are, what type of needs need to be met. And they put those things, they kind of articulate or make the IEP according to what they get from the assessments.
They do a psychoeducational assessment. So it's mainly based on education.
That's the word. Yes.
Yeah. So, and then a lot of them, I when I do the IEP training, I tell parents, prepare yourself because it's going to be by month. So you're hoping your child is turning 3, but then when you get an assessment that cognitively he's at 12 months. They do a triennial assessment of everything every 3 years. So at 3, at 6, at 9, at 12, at 15, and at 18. So, when my son was 12 and he had that assessment getting ready to go to junior high, I was so comfortable with doing the IEP assessments. I had everything in place. I felt I was an expert on it. I do the IPs. I'm good. But when I sat down and they were going, he's 12 and they're reading that he's at 3 years old, pre-K levels. I think at that moment, and I was kind of glad that my caseworker came with me and she saw me that I think I had that look. I was so surprised. And, so she kind of looked at me, my eyes got watery and she's like, do you need a break? And I'm like, yeah. I'm usually really good on reading the assessments before my IEP, but I was an expert. I didn't, I knew I expected what I expected, but then I was like, it really took me by surprise of how, and I think at that moment I realized, okay, Marissa, he's 12. At 7 they told me he plateaued, he's not gonna learn anymore. I'm like, no, at 7 years old he could still learn, he's just gonna learn different, and we're just gonna have to work differently. But at 12, I realized, what? Then we're going to stamp his name. He'll learn how to stamp it. He'll learn how to show his ID. He might not ever learn how to he traces. He can't write his name. He'll trace, but it has to be like really big. But he'll trace his name, and then right now he'll be 31. Cognitively, he's academically he's still at a pre-K. He doesn't read or write. He understands certain letters. He knows his colors by sign language. So the green, the yellow. If I sign it, he'll be like, "Oh, that's yellow. Oh, that's green." But he knows he lives in Chino. Repetition is just the most important thing to me was, for him to learn where he lived, know his name. He doesn't know his age. He knows it's his birthday because we start working on this from January, but every day it's like, it's my birthday today. It's my birthday today. So finally this week, he's so excited. Mom, it's going to be my birthday. Yes. And after that, no more. He cannot say if it's the birthday today.
That's what he's after.
Yes, yeah. So, and then, well, how old are you? Oh, I'm 20, I'm 15 years different. Like, I'm 30. Now I've been practicing. You're going to be 31. You're not 30, 31.
All right. Well, I feel like we could probably go another hour or so, but I got to be the guy that says, well, our time is winding down. But I do want to give you the opportunity to maybe tell us what's on the horizon. Do you guys have any, plans for something that you really haven't? Maybe we can get a scoop here and you could tell us about something new that you guys are doing, and how to get a hold of you would be important too.
We're forever having trainings on our website. We have our trainings are listed there. And then also we have a calendar of events that go out every month that shares all the different things that go on in Riverside and San Bernardino County with the disability community, whether it be in person, whether it be online, just a ton of different supports that go on. And we're just constantly letting, the community know that there's things out there. So if they can check out our website, and we'll give that information. Yeah.
Now that we're growing, that we grew, we have full staff now with our 3 different programs. You do not have to be a regional center client.
Good.
You could just be a parent that has a child with ADHD, ADD, like I said, fetal alcohol spectrum, a learning disability, that is getting ready to graduate high school, but they have a learning disability, and, they're concerned. We have our resources to help with, like Department of Rehab, other resources that could help the ones that don't qualify for in a regional center, but there's other services. Our program would help, could help with that. We're trying to go more to more health fairs and be out there and let the community know that we're here. If they just need, I just realized that my son, right now I'm working with 2 families that are children, 18 years old, high functioning autism. They never need a regional center. They never need they only have the IEP to help. Now that they graduated with the high school diploma, they don't know what to do. Now what? Can't really work. He's staying just at home in the computer. They don't know what to do. So I have like 3 families that are really worried now and looking for, say, what's next?
Yeah.
So
they
help with that.
We help with that too. So more trainings, more.
Yeah, and our website is www.esfrn.org. They can check out our website. Our number is listed on there, and we're able to help with any type of resource. They can reach out through that platform.
And social media is on the website where they can follow you guys if they'd like.
Yes.
All the things.
Facebook, all of them. We have a really good outreach specialist that takes care of that. All kinds of resources and groups and trainings. They're all on our social media.
Beautiful. Tayana Muse and Marissa Hernandez, thank you for coming on and sharing everything about the Family Resource Network.
Thank you, and thank you both for all that you do. We appreciate you guys so much.
Addie Rich never set out to be a voice for others. She became one by living her truth. As a woman with a disability, she's navigated life's twists with resilience, heart, and humor. Now, as co-host of Walk and Roll Live, Addie brings compassion, insight, and a spark that lights up every conversation. Together with Doug, she helps create a space where real stories are heard, valued, and celebrated. This is community. This is Walk and Roll Live. From the UGYAR Professional Training Studios, you're listening to Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories.
Very nice to hear from the Family Resource Network. Thank you, Tayana Muse and Marissa Hernandez. What'd you think?
So I love this. I love this set of guests. Well, I love all our guests.
Yes, you do.
But however, I love this set of guests because that it's like a peer-to-peer organization in many ways. I mean, they obviously have professionals and stuff, but like I always think, and we've talked about this, like the journeys that our families have to go on because they're handed us. Like parenting has no manual, but this definitely has no manual. So it's cool to see that there are resources. There are people that are very willing to say, hey, I've been in your seat or I've been in your shoes. Let me walk you a little bit further down the road. Let me, that's so powerful. And I would imagine it also allows those people that participate in the program as mentors to feel like they're stepping more into a position of power again, right? And they're able to give something back because that's huge. I think that one of the ladies kind of alluded to it, but it's when you have a disabled child, you feel like, how am I going to live a life and like participate and like, how is this going to be done? And I think a lot of times maybe the focus is on making it so the child has that opportunity, but it sounds like in this network, it also gives the parents the opportunity and the respite to have a place to vent, to have almost like a big brother or big sister in the journey, because a lot of our parents just lay down on the street for us. I mean, for regular children, quote unquote, but when you have a disabled child, you disappear and your child becomes paramount. And I think this is huge.
That must be amazing to walk in the door and find out that the people that are working there are the parents of a child that is very similar to yours.
Well, I imagine, because I think too, like imagine, well, even you and I going into a room, we come with like all these, like we're going to have to deal what everybody thinks and says about us and whatever, right? But if you can set that down, you can truly ask for the help you need because you're not trying to negotiate how to present the issue.
Yeah, well, you don't have to do a lot of explaining when you're talking to parents who have lived it. That's a shortcut right there, isn't it?
Well, yeah, 100%. So, I mean, amazing that this organization exists and kind of says, lay down your burdens. Let's talk about getting to the things that will help propel this child to where they are going to be.
Yeah, check them out. Family Resource Network there on our resource page. Well, before we go too much further, I know you wanted to love on your sister for a little bit.
So I'm butting in as the co-host to gush about my sister for a second. Today, while we're recording, is her last day at the Madonna Inn in San Luis Obispo, and she has been there over 25 years. And they have been super duper duper lucky, if I do say myself, to have her as a part of their team, not only with her skill set and her growing skill set over the years, because she started in high school and is not in high school anymore and has grown in position and rank and things, but just in being the human she is, because she does so many selfless things for people all around to kind of grow the community. And I think that has been noticed as her coworkers are catching on that there won't be a her. And I, as the proud sister, I just want to acknowledge her and the dedication and just who she is as a human. And I'm so excited for her next adventure because I feel like a lot of life she's been the giver to people, and I'm ready for her to give to herself.
Very sweet. We wish her all the luck in the world. Well, I've been very busy adding stuff to our resource page. I talked about it last week, I think, the IEDC conference, and there was a lot of resources that the presenters had to offer there with their PowerPoint. So finally tracked all that down, got it up on our website.
Amazing.
Yeah, I actually made a couple of new little areas that are specific to veterans and their support and disaster preparedness especially for the disabled community, and a little section on that, so you don't have to hunt for it too much. So all that new stuff is up there, and got some other things coming as well. So check it out. Check it out periodically, because there's always new stuff there. And coming up next week, we are talking with a fellow from Rancho Los Amigos, Juan Garibay. We're going to hear his story. Again, it's kind of it's like a twofold story. We get to hear his story, his journey, and then also all about the organization that is very well known and he's a big part of. So looking forward to that. Thank you for listening this week. I'm your host, Doug Vincent, along with Addie Rich. Couldn't do it without her, from the Aguiar Professional Training Studio. This has been Walk and Roll Live, Disability Stories, Life Limitless.
Walk and roll life.